Thank you, Joe. You know, 30 years ago, when I came up with the concept for the Gun Rights Policy Conference, I never really realized or thought about that it would become an institution all of its own. I never realized that 30 years later, I'd still be sitting here doing the road, the road we traveled, the road ahead with Joe Tartaro. And I can't believe that I could find anybody else that I would prefer to do it with, and I've had so much fun doing it with over the years. And Joe, thank you for all the effort and all the work you've put in to this Second Amendment right. Actually, since the Spanish-American War. And there are a lot of us have seen lately the price of gasoline at the pump sort of go down. And we read in newspapers and see on radio and TV that they expect the price of gasoline to go down. Let me tell you, the price of gasoline on the road ahead to defend our gun rights is not going to be going down. It's going to be a record dollar amount. And the reason? All the fuel is being bought up by Michael Bloomberg for the purpose of torching our Second Amendment rights and every gun owner in America. For starters, he's already spent well over $50 million against our rights, and that's only his buy-in price for the poker game here. Bloomberg has assembled a band of billionaires. A band includes Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, Paul Allen, a Microsoft alumni who founded it with Bill Gates, who owns the Seattle Seahawks and the Portland Trail Blazers. Steve Ballmer, another Microsoft president, who just bought the San Diego Clippers. George Soros, who probably owns half the world. Nick Hanauer and investor Warren Buffett, billionaires who now sit on the board of Everytown for so-called gun safety, the newest group that Bloomberg has set up. You can add to that Bloomberg's megalomaniac media empire, cable TV, radio, network, the internet, and print publications. In fact, he just started something called The Trace. He unleashed it. It's a new daily, independent digital news magazine for in-depth coverage of the gun issue in America. It's about the only news network that will admit that it's 100% biased against gun rights. He also has added to this a corporate conglomerate of gun hate groups, not just Everytown for gun safety, but Moms Demand Action, Mayors Against Illegal Guns, and he virtually underwrites all of them himself. You know, I'll hear a lot of our activists talk about how, well, Bloomberg and his people are really AstroTurf, they're really not grassroots. Well, let me tell you, I'm almost willing to trade our grassroots for his AstroTurf. Our grassroots are volunteers that have to fit in, you know, how to defend gun rights between taking care of their family, getting a job, having their job, doing it on a part-time basis when they can. Bloomberg's grassroots are full-time, paid employees. In fact, in some states, he now has more paid employees than NRA ILA has nationally. That's pretty scary. A lot of the major battles we're going to be looking at, we've just finished and looking up ahead. He went and bought a ballot measure in Washington State. He threatened a ballot measure in Oregon, got the legislature to pass anti-gun laws in Oregon. He's bought onto the ballot in Nevada, which I'm not going to steal a whole lot about because it's on one of our panels and it needs to be discussed by people who live in Nevada. But he's pretty much going to buy a ballot measure in Nevada if he can get away with it. He's pretty much, I understand now, qualified a ballot measure in Maine. And he's looking very heavily here at Arizona and a few other states as well.
It will never happen in Arizona.
You can say that, but where are you going to come up with $20 million to fight it while it's on the ballot in other states as well? Where is the money going to come from for all the slick TV advertising and all the emotion stuff that he puts on TV and radio? Don't underestimate this at all. That's something we really need to address. The playing field, and the point I'm trying to make is the playing field has changed. It's not the way it used to be anymore. We had the numbers and we had the dollars. Right now, the other side has the dollars, big time, and they're buying the numbers. Basically, it's a Bloomberg blitzkrieg, and he's willing to put his billions and billions of dollars behind it. I mean, we're dealing with him trying to stop discount stores and chain stores from selling guns and ammunition. They're coming up with creative, what I call kerosene, to pour on the fire to destroy our gun rights. New National proposed 25% taxes on firearms on top of the taxes we already pay. Cities are coming up with $25 taxes on guns and 5 cents a tax on each bullet sold. It started in Seattle here, sort of based on something Chicago had done, but we have information that the Bloomberg people were involved with it to begin with, and they're planning on spreading it to every major city in the United States. Mandatory gun insurance, they'll be costly or harder or next to impossible to get. Extreme risk prevention legislation under the banner of mental health and domestic violence. Mandated inaccessible gun storage laws with criminal penalties for you as a gun owner. New and longer background check waiting periods to depress firearm sales. Add all this to the tired agenda of banning most semi-automatic firearms and universal registration schemes. Polls show that more Americans now support the right to keep and bear arms than ever before. But it also shows that key focus groups buy into phrases that the Bloomberg people use that are gun control, but sold under different banners. It's going to be a job we have in the next coming year is going to get much, much, much more difficult. To organize, we have to out-organize the prohibition crowd and outthink our opponents. Somehow, we have to outraise the billions of dollars that a handful of political elite are putting into the fight to eradicate our constitutional rights. While we've been very successful in the past, this really is a whole new playing field. Where and how we get media to give us fair and balanced coverage. When is media owned by Bloomberg and others with an anti-gun agenda? How are we going to be able to compete with that? Where and how do we find wealthy individuals to support our freedom efforts to offset the billionaire ruling class? How do we keep and expand the base of grassroots activists working 24/7 at no pay to match the hundreds of so-called paid community organizers on the payroll of Bloomberg, also subsidized in many cases by our state governments? These are questions that we need to address, and they're on our agenda, and they need to be answered this weekend. And we can't do it without you. It doesn't matter if you're a speaker or just an attendee. Some of the best ideas, as Joe has pointed out, to win our freedoms have come from previous GRPCs, from people who've just attended and been in the audience. You'll be paving the road ahead. And I'm proud that we're able to do it and provide you with this asphalt for the road. Now let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Thank you.